I'm Ann Stewart with the Stewart Group Real Estate at eXp Realty. Today we're going to talk about what happens to all these people if they can't afford their mortgage. So I've had a few discussions with people that have brought up the fact that, well, you know, people bought in the last few years. Some of them bought with these really high interest rates. They have really high payments. What happens then? And yes, we are starting to see naturally a lot of people buy a house and a year or two later have to make a move. Maybe it's relocating for a job. Maybe it's something in their financial world changed. Maybe it's just being closer to friends, family, whatever it is, people make moves in a shorter period of time than they think they will. And so it's not uncommon for us to sell a property and a year or two later, somebody says, hey, we need to make a move because of X, Y, or Z. So in this market where we're seeing higher interest rates, higher payments, a lot of times it just doesn't make sense for somebody to rent the property because, well, their payment might be a lot higher than what they can rent it for. Or they just don't want that kind of burden of being a landlord or having it as a rental, etc. So we are starting to see a shift in that. Now, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, these people are going to be underwater. It's going to turn into 2008 market crash again. And that is wrong. One of the things that is vastly different from the 2008 market to the 2023-24 market is that in 2008, less than 50% of the people had equity. And in 2023 and 24, 58% or greater have equity in the property. We have a bigger equity position. Not to mention back in 2008, people didn't qualify for the loans that they should have gotten. They qualified for these loans that they should have never gotten, and it really put them in a jam. And then the market dropped significantly. And then people had loans that weren't favorable for them, and we were underwater, and you see how the cycle went on. And that was a deep, dark place to be in the real estate market. I lived through it. I can tell you it was much worse than what we're experiencing now. Now we have people that are in much greater equity positions. The market is low inventory. I remember a time in 2008 where if somebody qualified for a house, there could have been 50 houses in their price point that I could have shown them. 50, no joke. I could have spent weeks showing properties. Whereas now it's like, hey, there's 5 or 10 houses that might fit your criteria. And yes, it's all about affordability. So people are still being very fickle, but it's a much different market. I can promise you that. So there are people out there that are going to be put in a financial situation. There always is. There's always somebody that's got something that happens in their world that they hadn't predicted that requires them to make a move or sell the house. But what I'm finding is for those hit and miss moments of people that step forward, they're still in a good position equity-wise to sell the house. Now, we have seen people who bought in 2020, 2021, who had to spend $100,000 over a list price just to get a house, but they're sitting at a 3% interest rate. Those people might be in a little bit of a different situation because they had to, you know, throw so much more money at it. And we have seen where those people have lost some of the money that they put forward because they had to sell sooner than they expected. But again, they're in a really good equity position, and some of them can rent it if they need to, depending on the circumstances. So right now, we're not seeing a lot of distressed sellers, I guess is what I'm trying to share with you. If you have any questions on this, you want to evaluate your equity position, you have somebody that you know that needs to analyze or be strategic about how they're going to sell, hit us up. We'd love to help.